There's a silent shift happening right now, and almost no one is paying attention. While everyone's watching Bitcoin's price, something much bigger is developing in the background. Because the question is no longer if quantum computers can break Bitcoin, it's how soon. And the answer might be closer than anyone has expected. So, what has just actually happened? So, recently, new research started gaining attention, suggesting that the requirements to break Bitcoin using quantum computers might be far lower than we thought. Instead of needing millions of qubits, it could take fewer than 500,000 qubits. And the estimated time to break a transaction is around 9 minutes. And now, this is like a point where it all gets a bit too serious. So, Bitcoin's transactions typically take around 10 minutes or more to be confirmed, which means in theory, an attacker could interpret that transaction, crack the private key, and redirect your funds, leaving you with nothing left. And that would be before it even gets confirmed. So in that space in the middle, that attacker would have enough time to completely wipe your account. So now let's break this down simply. When you own Bitcoin, your funds are protected by a private key. And normally, if someone sees your public key, they can't reverse it. But quantum computers can change that. So the critical moment is when you send Bitcoin, your public key gets exposed. And that creates that short term of vulnerability. So during that time, a powerful quantum computer could in fact take your public key, derive your private key, create a new transaction, and send your funds somewhere else, all before your original transaction is confirmed. So an important aspect of this is that a lot of computation can be done in advance. So when your transaction hits that network, the attacker just finishes the final step. And now this isn't just about future transactions. There are already millions of Bitcoin being potentially exposed. And we're talking roughly 6.9 million Bitcoin. And that's almost a third of the total supply. So this includes early mined Bitcoin, wallets that reused addresses, and any funds where public keys have been already revealed. And once a public key is exposed, it stays exposed forever. So if quantum capability reaches that next level, those wallets could become instant targets. And now, back in 2021, Bitcoin introduced the Taproot upgrade. It improved privacy, efficiency, and scalability. But of course, there's a trade-off. So Taproot makes public keys visible by default in more cases. So that would mean that we have more exposed keys and more potential targets, having a larger attack surface. And now this doesn't mean Taproot was a mistake, but in the quantum future, it changes these dynamics. Now, let's be clear. Quantum computers today are not yet capable of doing this. We're still below that threshold. But progress is accelerating faster than expected, and the risk isn't just today. It's the moment we cross that line, because when that happens, there might not be much warning. So can there actually be anything done about this? The good news is, Bitcoin isn't helpless. There are already discussions around quantum-resistant cryptography, which basically means upgrading Bitcoin security to survive a quantum world. But this won't be easy. It would likely require a major protocol upgrade, community-wide agreement, and moving funds to new, secure address formats. So timing is everything. And if this happens, Bitcoin adapts. If not, things can get a bit messy. So the reality is that Bitcoin isn't broken, but it's no longer untouchable. And the next decade could define whether it evolves or gets tested in ways that it's never been seen before. And now let's take a closer look in regards as to what's been happening with Ethereum and Bitcoin. Now, overnight, the market broke out of its range with an upward move. At the moment, it's clear that we are in the local bullish order flow, which is acting as pullback with a broader bearish structure. So the move is developing through typical liquidity mechanics. Price is sequentially taking out the lows, then consolidating, and then continuing higher. At the same time, price has now reached a local resistance zone, specifically an order block around 69.5k to 68.4k, where a reaction is likely. Given that current structure, a move lower to collect remaining liquidity is expected, making the downside the priority scenario for today. So the nearest target for Bitcoin would be 67,500 and 2,080 for Ethereum. From the daily time frame, the picture remains unchanged. The bearish structure is still intact, with price operating within resistance zones and maintaining divergences. Confirmation of the next leg down will require reversal signals on lower time frames. Now, looking at today's macro drivers, we have an ADP non-farm employment change data along with a speech from Donald Trump. Events like this introduce sharp, mixed price action, increasing volatility and making the market more choppy. So today calls for an extra caution and close attention to the news flow. And if you found this useful, make sure to subscribe because we break down the biggest shifts in crypto without the noise. And I would like to hear your take on this. Do you think Bitcoin will adapt in time, or are we underestimating this? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Before I let you go, there will be a link to Evedex down in the description below, which is a decentralized exchange that I personally use on a daily basis. So if you're looking to trade, or if you're looking to trade alongside with me, then make sure you check that link in the description below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.